Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you for again volunteering. But it's now 6 p.m. here in the Rice Conference Room at the Town Manager Search Committee meeting here on Thursday, January 26, 2023. I'll do a quick roll call. Councilor Adams is present. Mr. Canoyer?
Yep.
Mrs. Hernandez, right? Or is it Miss?
Velez.
Velez, why? Because there's two of you. That's why I keep messing it up. I apologize. Ms. Velez is present. Mr. Canoyer. Councilor Rivas, absent. And Terry is excused. All right, so welcome everybody, and this should be interesting. We're first meeting to kick off a new town manager search committee, and again, appreciate everybody volunteering. I've handed everybody a packet, and what I did was I just pulled some information from when Pete was doing it a few years back. The first thing that I brought up was that I received was the town manager search committee. The charge of it, and the reason why I did that was to, at our next meeting, I'd like to, if there's any changes within this committee charge, I'd like to go ahead and do that, make those changes. That way we have this documentation for what our purpose is here. And if there's any changes you would like to see, please don't hesitate to make some changes, and then we'll add them in there as we go along. Hi, Jasmine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're all.
I was with some students upstairs.
There you go.
Well, I know we ended up with 3 finalists. This says group of finalists, may be written
Thank you.
for the purpose of allowing any number of finalists. But anyway, that's the only thing that catches my eye.
Well, if you want me to change that now and just take a look at it, I can rewrite it and then we can vote on it.
Can you write just to recommend finalists? Could be 3, could be 2, or have to be 3.
Yeah, or a certain number. I mean, if you recommending a group of finalists sounds like at this point it can be any number of finalists that we call finalists.
Yeah,
I think, just for expediency and efficiency, you want to say 3 finalists, or 4, or 2, or whatever number the committee would agree upon.
normally you get 3
3.
to the town council for a
Yeah.
vote. Well, I would say to the town council for an interview and a vote for 1. But it could be any number of them. If you want to add 3 in there, we can. My intent was not to kind of go over every single thing. I was just
Yeah.
going to give us a time to review them on our own and then come back with any changes you may have.
Okay.
That'd be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The next piece of paper I provided was just the quick minutes. I didn't have anything else I didn't receive any other minutes from the previous meetings. I did receive executive minutes, but I did not receive any more. I know you guys had multiple meetings. So I will ask Hannah to continue to look for them upstairs. And if I get them, I will pass them out. But it was just more of I provided to have an idea what they had discussions over. What were some of the topics, and if I can find more, I definitely will. The next piece of paper I provided is a request for proposals. This was a response to the request that the town had put out there. And this is what the Paradigm had come up with, who ultimately became who the town contracted
Okay.
to do search. And then the next point is the position statement, basically some of the requirements, a little bit of the history of Southbridge, the economic challenges and positive things. So they understand we have to take a hard look at the annual salary now, because everything has gone up in the last couple of years, and trying to become very competitive against some of these other towns. It's getting higher and higher each time. And I think, the Paradigm also provided to the town council some questions we should possibly ask at the town council, but that, the reason why I give it here is if there's something that we should recommend as well as we're moving forward, instead of depending completely on Paradigm or whoever that third party may be, or if we just do it ourselves, we can add to those questions. And then the last thing I did was, I added, what the cost was at the time to the town. So by charter, the charter states that the search committee, the town council has to financially support the search committee, has to. All right, so what we do is we kind of go out there and we come up with what we want, we put that out there. Companies like Paradigm will bid on those if we decide to do a third party. So I just wanted to add that in there because a lot of us, I didn't see this bill, I don't remember seeing this bill at all, but it came out of council reserve. I think they requested up to $40,000. So we provided that out of the council reserves, but it only cost $12,000 for it. Which was surprising to me because I wasn't that deep into, well, when it came to hiring Michael on that. And my next thing here is, does anybody have any questions before we move on?
So is the position statement here sort of
Yep.
like a job description? Okay.
And it gives the history of the town too, so don't, you know, if you go through it, it gives the history itself. Now, I do believe we will have whoever that third party is or ourselves will go through it and actually put the job description out there, some of the requirements. But on the back of it, if you look, it says it right there for you too as well.
What is the page that has the job description?
So on the back page, it says ideal candidate.
The back.
They will have. So whoever the third party is, or if we do it ourselves, we'll have that job description ready to go for them, and they push it out that way.
But I don't really see this like the job description. I see like the job duties and expectation.
Well, this back page is the ideal candidate, but this gives the history. Yeah, right. But this is just giving the history of the town, to what the challenges will be, what the positive things will be, what the negative things will be. So the candidate, whoever that person applies for, has a better understanding of our town, of Southbridge.
Yeah, but do you have a job description itself?
A what?
Job description.
It's almost
Yeah,
weaved
we will.
into it, but we definitely should have.
It should be customized to
Yeah,
Southbridge.
yeah.
This is sort of a general approach, right?
Right, this is just a general, this is just gonna give an idea about Southbridge. There will be a job description created.
Oh, okay.
There will be, yeah, so that's the whole purpose behind that. But once we start talking about what's the job description gonna look like, I mean, we're not gonna reinvent the wheel, but if we need to add a little flavor here and there to it, or changes, or remove something because it doesn't meet our needs anymore, that's gonna be up to us to go from there.
So you already has one. You just do it.
Yeah, I'm pulling all the information. It's been an ongoing process to get some of this information. Anybody else? Thanks, Denise.
Sorry, there's like 10 really good meetings going on.
Isn't it great? Yeah, I know. Wow.
And I just have my own private opinion, so.
Congratulations.
Good.
Any other questions on it? I just wanted to give you guys some of the paperwork. I guess the one thing that I'd like to nail down is our responsibilities, if it has to change or not. If you see anything in there at the next meeting, we change it, vote on it, retype it up, and that way it's for documentation purposes.
So did you have a time frame for this?
Well, I think our first step, I think Denise can add to this, it could go up to, what, a year, I think you had one?
It
It
could be
could
a long
go,
time, but obviously, I would say, no. I mean, but you still have to give enough time to get the right person.
yeah, I think with the current town manager, you literally, I believe it was only, boy, we found a Ron, we started looking right away. That was 3-4 months. We had it pretty much on track. So it was quick.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the exact dates of when they started and when it ended. But it could take up to a year to find them. I think.
It's on what the the current, what is it, the temperature of getting town managers together, what is going on out there? And I don't know if you've done that research yet to see, or if you've even questioned surrounding areas to what is the demand and the supply for town managers right now?
No, we have not done that. Well, I would say we have done it, but very,
If-
very loosely, I would say, not even informally, more.
So when is the last day for this town manager?
Last date for town manager is the 24th. Actually, the week before. He's on vacation all that last week. What I wanted to explain is you don't have to have the town manager here. So by our charter, the next person that would step in line after the town manager leaves or replace the town manager would be the town accountant. Our town accountant is leaving, I think, the same day. So yeah, it puts us in a predicament as far as things. But I will tell you, after this meeting tonight, I'm going straight upstairs and we're gonna have a meeting on it, what they call an interim town manager. So they went, when Denise was on there, they went for an entire year and I don't know if it was you for a year or was it 2 or 3 different
We
town
had
managers?
Bob Reed in 14 after Chris Clark, because I pulled that up. I just haven't pulled up a couple other things. I was doing some research. I finally got the town website to work for me properly, like to actually
Congratulations.
go back that far. Shocking, but you know, I have a life too, so. And then, so after him, we had a small engine, we had another guy for a short time. That neither of them were, I mean, Bob Reed was better than the other. Neither were overly effective. They just kind of status quoted. And then we had Kevin Pecos for a good year and a half. Actually, I think it was a year and a half because we extended his contract or whatever for a little bit longer. But you also have one for more than a year, I think, or something.
I think that he
so we
left.
extended it slightly, but a lot accomplished guy here.
I don't believe there's a required period of time.
I think there was a vote taken for a certain time frame.
Right,
and then
just to
we
be
had
on the safe
redo
side.
vote.
Yeah,
You know, in other words, after our contract up through so much, just like our 2-year terms up 3-year terms. I mean, appointee, it's an appointee for so long.
right.
That's what it was.
Okay, so, but in the meantime, because of the predicament we're in, we do have an interim, we would depend on the town accountant for a couple days. But because she's leaving, now it's time to go, all right, we gotta put in a little bit higher gear, which we're having a meeting tonight at 7 o'clock, to kind of, we've already got applicants for the interim town managers. We've already put that out there. So we're already on track to fit, our intent would be to bring the interim town manager in by the 13th of February. So there's 1 week of turnover, even though that's never enough time, but then you don't want to overstep each other as well. But there is a process in place happening right now. Okay, so our job is to make sure in this committee is that we hopefully will hire the right one that is willing to stick it out through thick and thin and meet all the goals and objectives that the town council has provided to them.
So if the town manager is leaving, the accountant is leaving, who's going to be next for the town manager?
Well, push came to shove, we would probably have to, at a point, we'd have to probably put the assistant town manager in there. Okay, so we work it out. Everything's gonna work out. We'll do our job, let the town council do theirs, and I think that's on the right process. But our job is really at this point in time to take a look at the town manager and see what we can do. And if it takes a year to get the right candidate, 6 months, then let's do it. Right now, town managers are not to be cruel, a dime a dozen, and they keep going all over the place, and less than 3 years is not normal. And, you know, as the prices go up, people move along. There's nothing in their contracts that state if you don't fulfill your 3 years, you have to reimburse the town of Southbridge some funds. Doesn't happen that way. But I'm listening. Go ahead, please.
So you're right, those were things that were discussed way back when Ron St. Angelo was here in terms of the contract. And Jen Gov spent 6 months at least reviewing multiple contracts in communities all over Massachusetts to try to come up with something at the time, because Ron's was up as a redo, and of course he refused us, but
That's right.
anyway,
Yeah.
but that was done with, I would call it, what you say, a real bipartisan effort, because not everybody agreed. There were multi-factions in council members who came to those meetings, and, you know, sometimes we were way far apart on certain things, and other times we were close, and then we would, anyway, the point is, we put together a pretty good, what we thought was a safeguard for Southbridge in some things. When you say, oh, you can't do that, well, that's not true. There are safeguards in a contract that if you cancel your contract, say la vie, then, you know, we don't have to uphold and give you the extra time. You could be walked out that day, or, you know, there's different things you can put in a contract. Clearly, if somebody breaches on their side, they should have equal penalty in some way. So anyway, we went through a lot of that stuff. There is a contract that exists out there from a number of years back that at the time when Jack Jogan came in, we talked about that contract because I questioned it. He said he had brought it to DeMoscus, who looked at it, who at the time was our municipal kind of guy, and he's also our union work guy, union negotiations. Anyway, and he supposedly blessed it, you know, claiming there was maybe one little thing, didn't want it to be illegal, didn't want us putting stuff out there that some manager would say is illegal. So, but then in the end, standard MMA got, you know, at the next manager, and that's where you lose it, because MMA, they're a wonderful organization, love them, and they can be a big help to us, especially with this. However, they are for the management, you know, so their boilerplate contract is not for everybody, and I would highly recommend that the council, whoever's working on that side of things, realizes that, and don't just fall into that, well, we just gotta offer this contract. No, that's what negotiations, once you find a candidate or two or three, you know, that's what negotiations are for. So just, you know, keep that in mind, because it's negotiations, right? If somebody hates everything and you really want that person, then you might choose to.
So I will say this is yeah, absolutely, you can put what you want in the contract, but you gotta negotiate it. You know, so we'll figure that one out as we move along. Obviously, we have a lot of, we do have a lot of experience, and I personally asked Denise to come in today just because of the experience. Last time that really, we had an interim town manager, was on her watch, when we had a now town manager change, and she had requested to be on the committee as well. So I think, I do truly believe you got to have that experience in there as well. So, anyways,
Can I just say,
yeah,
I hope
absolutely.
that others, so I'm not, you know, yeah, I got experience in others. I was talking to Pam for, you know, there's plenty of other people out there too, and I hope they at some point choose to sit in maybe and hear and see what's, or maybe watch on TV.
Yeah, everybody's more than welcome. It's an open meeting.
At this point,
It's allowed. So, does that help kind of answer your question a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions?
Not right now, until
right now,
I
I know.
go
Start looking
through
into
all
some
of
of
this, then I might have some,
There'll be more information that flows.
yeah.
Just to be clear, we're searching for town manager candidates.
Yeah.
The council then negotiates with the
Yes. Yeah.
final candidate.
Absolutely.
That's
After
whatever.
whatever the town council comes to a vote, then at that point in time, then the negotiations will happen. Obviously, hopefully, you kind of have an idea of what they're looking for beforehand, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to bring up, and I know we have the agenda, and we went through the second one, but the hiring process. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I'm going, because the situation that we're in now, in a sense, I'm going, we could do it better ourselves. But I've talked to many people and said, you probably just want to hire a third party to come in, and I'm willing to listen. And you know, obviously, it takes the whole committee to make that decision. They highly recommend. They're all HR individuals. They all highly recommended. Get a third party. They do the work. This is what they get paid to do, and they know where to look. They know what our expectations are. Like, we don't want a candidate 2 hours away from here, and then say not willing to move here. You know, because one of the big things is through the charter, possible charter change that we may be having here this summer. We want that. We would like to have that town manager move to Southbridge themselves. It can be waived by the town council for like 12 months, or you know, what if they live right across the border? What happens? Everything's different, but you know, that's something that we'd have to put in part of the requirements. And this third party will be able to reach out to those candidates, those individuals that are interested in coming to Southbridge, maybe better than we can sometimes, even though we think we can always do it better. So at this point in time, you know, I'm gonna listen to those experts that we pay big
Okay,
money
I
for.
have a couple of questions.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is that the town is going to subcontract with a company to search for the candidates.
right. No, that's up to us. That's all up to the committee to make
Okay,
that
if
decision.
we want to go that avenue.
Yep,
Okay, and then if we decide that, they are going to be searching for the candidates, and then we are going to interview those candidates.
yeah, so they'll do a lot of the screening. They'll do all the screening for us.
Okay.
And they will bring maybe 10, 9, 11 individuals to us. And then we go behind closed doors for an interview process.
Okay.
And at that point in time, we whittle them down to 3.
Okay.
All by the committee, not by one individual. All by the committee. And then from that point on, you get up there, if it's a third party, that individual who runs that organization or whoever's in charge of that manager will present that for each individual in front of the town council.
The finalists.
The 3 finals, yes.
Yeah, I just went through this process in one of the boards that I'm on, and so the search company put together these videos. Like the candidates had to do videos and they had to answer questions. And as the search committee for the board, we got to kind of view those. And then the candidates that came to the top, they sent us the videos for those candidates, their resume, their cover letter, all of the questions that they answered. And then we decided to interview the top candidate that came recommended by the outgoing ED. And then from there, we decided whether we would recommend that candidate or not, or go back to the other finalists that they came up. So they do all the, like Counselor Adams said, they did all the screening and just sent us the top 3 or 4 candidates.
No,
And we decided to interview just
I went through
one
the
of them.
same process when we were hiring our executive committee, a executive person from our agency too. So I'm familiar with the process. I just want to know how this committee go through the process.
Well, go ahead, Denise. Yeah,
And
please. Go ahead.
I'm listening. Knowing what happened, knowing some of what happened previously with the previous consultant, I would highly suggest that this committee, which I'm not going to say so on, have the opportunity to review all things that come in. You want to, every consulting firm, consulting person, whatever, has their own vision, right? Well, the reason you're here representing council in this town is because you need a vision for Southbridge. And what one might think is, so at least review the applications and get a sense of things before you let somebody, if somebody says, well, yeah, we got 20, but I'm just giving you these 7 because the others, at least look at them. Take that few minutes to review something and find out why they're pushing people aside.
But in my agency, what they did was the subcontract interview us, like all the managers in the agency, so they can hear what is the expectation of the new person coming in.
Yes.
And they ask questions to
Yeah.
us, and we tell them, well, the next candidate we would like, I don't know, to be familiar with financing a strong ethnicity background or things like that. So they ask us what is the expectation, and maybe went to what you were talking about over here. And then basing the expectation and the job description and knowing Southbridge, then they bring those candidates in, and then the process start with the interview process.
Yeah, the same thing they did with us. They interviewed staff and board members on sort of the vision of who we thought would represent
Yep.
the organization. And then we, as a board, we came up with 3 or 4 criteria aside from the job description that were at the top of our list. Like, they had to know about domestic violence because it's a domestic violence agency. They had to, have certain leadership qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We had-
I was involved in the last search, as you know, and we used Paradigm.
Yep.
And the initial portion of it was, well, the very beginning, they explained about themselves, how they operate, how they're connected, how far out they reach. The second session was about us and what our expectations of them were, not of a town manager, but what our expectations of them.
So how did you choose the contact?
Well, what we'll do is request for proposals, right? Where we
And
go
they
out.
submit.
So, and is that what you guys did before? Was
Yeah,
the
they went
proposals
out
or-
looking for, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they only got maybe the one or two, there wasn't much, if I'm not
Nope, there
mistaken.
wasn't
So
much.
unfortunately, and also you look at the price, you know, I mean, you look at certain criteria, I mean, obviously.
At the time, Paradigm came highly recommended. I think there was one other, but
Is
Yeah.
UMass, is it, not UMass, Massachusetts something?
Yeah, and the University of Mass, I used to have some organization that also can come out and help you. I think we might have used them prior to another search.
but they gave us, I don't remember the number, but
Search.
I want to say 30 candidates that we then started to track
Right,
down.
so that's good, I mean, the
Yeah, I
more
mean,
the better.
a lot.
Long nights,
But it's,
online,
Well, it was,
Right,
it was
surprise
relatively
that it was
easy
that many.
initially.
yeah, because you know.
Yeah, you know
it's
right away, you know.
Slams you right in the face.
Yeah, some guys from Juneau, Alaska, and, you know,
The ones that ran.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, I'm just, you know, telling you what my experience was with
Sure.
Paradigm. They, you can say to them, bring us 60 candidates initially. And, you know, there are a ton of people out there, but there are a million things going on in their lives. I remember one guy was in Texas, he wanted to come to New England because he had been to Cape Cod once when he was a kid, and he wanted to come back here. But his wife was an engineer for a sewer treatment plant in Texas, wasn't sure that she would move. I mean,
it's always,
you're talking to the guy, and he's like, so he was way down.
Yeah.
You know, but
absolutely.
at least he was in the pool, and it makes it easier as you go along and filter that out. To,
But in the process, at the beginning, did you meet with this subcontract company
yeah,
and the head of the departments over here or not?
not with the heads of departments.
but they have done that in the past.
We met with the company.
But it's not a bad idea to have that expectation of them doing that.
Exactly, because you can hear from the police department what is the
Absolutely.
expectation, from the DPW,
Yes.
what is the expectation.
I wrote it
from
down,
The fire
follow it.
department, what is the
I think
expectation.
it's a great idea.
And it's nice to hear from them because they are going to be supervised by this person.
Yes.
And it would, I don't know, that would be my recommendation. That was the way that we did
It's
it.
a good idea.
I was gonna ask, because they did do that before San Angelo, just, I
Oh,
mean,
they
that
did,
was,
okay.
there was a whole lot of meetings
Yeah.
in which they asked staff to
Yeah.
give their expectations of a manager, or, you know, or their desire for whatever. you
So
know.
I did write it down though,
Yeah,
and I
I
wrote
think
down
that's
also
a-
the review
it's
from
important.
everything
Yeah.
that comes
But
in.
even as you as a you know, if you didn't do that with a consulting, you know, even as you as the committee, you can
Right.
ask for that
Yeah.
meeting, you can
Yeah.
ask for
Sure.
people to, or send out, how about a questionnaire?
Sure.
How about anything,
Yeah.
you know,
You
whether
can,
it's
you can
something,
go out and talk to these.
yeah,
people.
less invasive, more invasive, you know, but.
I
mean, you
think
could
that
certainly-
is,
You want to do it formally.
yes, I think that is important for the head of the department to be part of this because they are going to be supervised by him or by her or by
By them.
his or by her or by them. And it would be nice to hear from them and they will feel like they're important too.
You know, the thing is, it's not, and I think, obviously this is gonna have to be, it's not Dave Adams being interviewed, it should be department head one. Because what you don't want to do is, I don't think, is that then they feel intimidated if it is your boss and all of a sudden your word is out there about what they're expecting or whatever it may
But
be.
I'm not talking about.
be any way.
You're asking
I'm not
them
talking-
what qualities
That's
they
all.
seek
I'm
in a
not
town
really
manager.
Yeah.
talking about the interview process. I'm talking about the company that is going to be.
Absolutely, so that's part of
Okay.
our request for proposals.
Mhm.
We put out an expectation of this company, that, and they come back with a proposal, what they can provide to us, and please tell me if I'm wrong. Then they come back with a proposal of what they can provide to us based on our expectations, and then usually you go with the lowest bidder, but that's not a requirement. So it is whatever is best for the town. Obviously, if one's 10,000, one's 100,000, something went amiss in that process. So
I don't know if I'm explaining myself really. I'm talking about the subcontract company that you're going to be
Them doing the
hiring
interview with the departments.
for the department.
absolutely,
Yeah.
no, and that's one of our that'll be one of our expectations. We sit down with them to have conversations of what we're looking for them to do.
Okay.
But I did write it down because I do believe it's
I think
important for
that
the
is
department heads.
extremely important because they're going to be the
Yeah, it's sort of like when we go out for other vendors, when I guess I think back to whatever that system we put in a while back, very
Unis.
expensive. Remember
How
Unis,
can I
thank
forget
you.
that?
Yeah, very expensive, that's all I have to say,
You're welcome,
Unis, everybody
anytime.
knows what that is. And I numerous times in Gen Gov would say, wait a minute, what do you mean the person can't make a meeting and suddenly they're supposed to be trained, they're supposed to be doing they were supposed to be making sure that all that nitty gritty, that little stuff there was, they compiled the info and brought the data back. So in this case, you're asking the same thing. You want to make sure if you have a company, are they going to compile that data, bring it back to you so that you can see the expectations of the departments and such does it align with your expectations?
Yeah.
They're counselors, they're private citizens here.
Yeah.
That's what I believe that's what you're looking for. So that would be part of the request. What your expectation is in their job would be, evaluations, employee, whatever you want to call it, but department head evaluations and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
absolutely.
So that they know coming out with their money, it's 10, but we can't do that. That's
We should
number 5.
we should provide them guidance for what we're looking for.
Right.
They should execute that guidance and get it back to us. And if they're missing something that we've requested, that's our job to go back and say, what about this? And if they missed it, they have to go back and try to knock that out for us. So we're paying them to do something. Obviously, like I said, at first I thought we could do it, but I will tell you the dynamics of what the town hall is now and I will say it, you have an HR department that is putting out job descriptions left and right and trying to do interview process at the same time with some type of interference once in a while is really overloading a 2-person department as they're trying to get those individuals in. And at first, if everything was great, I would have sat there and said, maybe we can do this. I'll spend the time knocking it out. But I got to tell you, the more and more I listen to the experts and subject matter experts, I think a third party.
I think that a third party is a good idea because take the burden of all of the town council, things like that.
And it is a requirement through the charter that the town council financially support the search committee.
So just to say, I'm not sure your first name, but Evelyn. Okay,
I
great.
messed up her last name.
You should, you're all like equal members here, even though, he's your chair. But what your expectations or things you would like, you should be writing that down and give it, at your meeting, and then it can be compiled into that document that you're all gonna present to wanting to get done. So you should never feel like you shouldn't do that kind of, you're.
Don't worry, I'm going to
I know,
speak
yeah,
up.
you said, I'm just
Right,
saying, Evelyn's
done
yeah,
this.
I'm just saying, Jay, look, I wrote it down, but Evelyn, feel free to write him a proposal.
Absolutely.
You know.
Send me. You've got my email
I'm just,
address,
I encourage
please.
my communities.
Well, I think it would. Go ahead.
Well, again, Paradigm does that almost automatically, so.
They've got the whole system down, but I think meeting it to our expectations and the changes the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That the town councils has a different expectation, maybe more so than the last one, and just by mistake sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying that that's how they operate. They'll ask the question before you have to raise the issue. At least that was my experience.
And I did talk to Terry about this, so the other committee member, and she recommended the same thing, was a third party.
She's an HR person.
Yes, I know, I can
Yeah.
tell as soon as I talked to her.
Yeah.
She was great, she gave me a lot of great insight, and I really appreciated the guidance she provided me, so.
I wonder if we could also ask the search or the third party, maybe do some polling of just getting residents. Like I know we get residents in the meetings, but maybe just some general questions, so more residents have an opportunity to give opinions about what they might, it doesn't mean that would be the determiner of what we would want, but meaning just to get a temperature from
Like focus.
a wider range of
You can
people
put a
in the
poll on
community.
social media or even on cable, but I think on social media you can put a poll out there with the questions on there. It's like, what do you look? Like you're always going to get that. You turn off the comments. Maybe you just put a yes,
Right,
no,
right,
1, 2,
right,
3.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
You turn
something
down that dirty
very,
road.
What's important to you, kind of.
yeah,
I think if you,
what are the
that's
qualities?
gonna, asking a poll situation that's actually an accurate thing versus, one that ends up being so skewed that it doesn't, because what's their sample, what's the data on it, that's that whole,
Yeah.
so that will raise the numbers, I would imagine, if you're expecting them to give you real accurate data in a poll, I think might be difficult. But you wanna get the word out that people should attend, you
Yeah.
have
I'll do the
a,
Facebook
what do you
Live.
wanna call
Just,
it?
just let people know
Uh,
that they can
You can almost have a, whatchamacallit?
comment
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
for it.
Focus group.
But you could
His
have, like a
Facebook
hearing,
page.
you
Right,
could have a
right,
bigger,
right.
you could have a
Yeah.
specific date, that this date, we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna have a more open meeting, take it, we're meeting upstairs maybe, and we'd like you to, maybe have a series of 3 or something where,
True.
or whatever, just
Yeah.
where it's really,
Citizens input.
yeah, something where
Yeah.
it's specifically just geared at that, not like all the other nitty gritty, but these are your dates, come on out on one of them, we're giving you a choice, come tell us what you feel, and see if you get anything,
I
because.
mean, you may, but I mean,
Yeah.
some people can't make meetings, so even, I don't know.
You
I
could
think-
always do. I mean, it
Well, submit your
becomes-
comments,
yeah.
just submit your comments to an email, to a online.
So send the email straight to the committee
Yeah,
chair or one of the committee members,
and
they
we
can
will
bring.
read your comments or something at this meeting, just saying.
You could do a live event at the same time, but that becomes
Yeah.
it becomes pretty tough.
Yeah,
Which
I'm
is-
just thinking of a
It's tough.
simple poll of what qualities, maybe
Well,
like 2
how-
questions.
How about I
and
ask
But
this of
who
the
you poll,
ask this of the
How do you get it?
committee at the next meeting?
Put it on
Have
social
some
media.
poll questions that you'd like to hear,
Yeah.
and then what we can do is post it and share it.
Yeah,
And then I don't think the town hall has anything anymore, but we can post it and share it and do it other sites, even Holiday Visions.
there you go. The only, when you said you put on social media, the problem I think you might get with that, and maybe just call me blank, because I don't do much, almost none, not quite, my grandson will. Social media, but who are you polling? You're gonna be skewed to a candidacy, a group of maybe not so many seniors, maybe not so many, people who aren't doing that social media.
right, but you do multiple, so you
Well,
do the meetings and you
Yeah,
promote the
right.
meeting, so you have multiple methods of residents
Getting the data.
participating and giving their comments, so like on social media,
Yeah.
focus on Southbridge first, or whatever, those different
Well, I think if you
places.
communicate that you can provide feedback to the committee, attend a meeting, go to your Facebook page, send an email to a committee member, call a committee member. I don't mind if you publish my phone number,
You okay with that?
I'm fine.
Okay.
so that there are as many opportunities
Right,
for
right,
people to
Yeah.
have input.
yeah.
And
That's a good point.
you know that, I don't wanna,
No, I think we got the jive. I think what I would ask then the committee to come up with at the next meeting is just questions we can get it all put together. We could discuss it, what we think is what we should have up there, and then we put it together. Put it right there, and then we, Terry will be back, which will be very helpful too as well. And that's not a problem at all. I don't think that's a hard thing to do. And I do believe we should have a cutoff date. Not an
Oh, yeah.
ongoing
Yeah,
poll, maybe
absolutely.
for 2-3 weeks or something
Yeah.
like that, or
Yeah.
maybe till the next meeting, maybe extend it if we see more input. It'd be,
Yeah.
you guys.
I agree
Yeah,
with
there are a
that.
lot of avenues, I mean, you get your SVP push outs too, but you
Yeah.
also, town is a member of Chamber of Commerce. And
Right.
they have their ad page,
Yeah.
and you could literally come up with something, Southbridge seeking your input on the next town manager, and you can put it right there, and that goes out, every time you turn
Yeah.
around, the chamber's sending another email, so,
Yeah.
and all you have to do is look at their account, their events, and that's all free. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to pay the $100, they'll do a specific,
you know somebody on the business partnership.
Maybe
that
there's
can
some
put on your
donations or
website.
something
Right,
like that
exactly.
way.
You can put it on your board
Yeah.
at the.
There you go.
Yeah, at
We'd be
the,
happy
it's
to
the
do
Beautiful
store,
sign.
at
It's a
the
beautiful
sign, at the
sign.
store.
That
And I
is a
stand there looking at it going,
Yeah.
they still need.
Maybe we can get that then one day in our front yard here.
There you go.
But
So, yeah, there are avenues.
Yeah, and I can get some of my students in the Voices group
Yeah.
that I just met with to give their
I do believe we'll learn something and that we gain something from it. So, okay. All right. So we're pretty much in agreement. I don't think we have to, I did put down, make any decisions thereof. Honestly don't believe, man, based off Terry's, conversation, we don't really need to vote in favor of a third party, or we're all in agreement here. I mean,
Yes.
yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
You might wanna make it a formal vote.
I mean,
Well, I'll make a motion to, I'll bring a motion to hire a third-party, company to help support our search for the next town manager.
Second?
Okay.
All
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 4-0. There you go. Perfect.
Andrew.
Yes, keep it formal.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Let's see. I keep looking at it, so I'm really formal. Yeah.
I'm just saying, make it official.
So, all right. Does anybody else have any questions whatsoever or concerns?
No. Maybe next meeting.
What's that?
Maybe at the next meeting.
yes.
How
Yeah.
about-
Well, I think I'll set it up for more, so this was very general, and then what I'll do is I'll start breaking it down even more. And if there's something that you really adamant about to discuss, or you need to discuss, let me know so I can put it on the agenda.
Okay.
That way it's heard and voted on, or whatever we have to do with it at that point in time.
You plan to meet on Thursdays?
That would probably be the perfect day, if you don't mind. If it's
Yeah,
not,
it's good, I'm good with it.
It's good with me.
it's Thursday evenings, okay. Because we do have ARPA on Thursdays,
Trash.
we have trash on Thursdays, and
It's in trash.
I think it works out really well for us. Anything else you guys, we're looking for another date here?
Yeah.
Agenda item number, I think it's 4.
Would it be okay if we met at 6:30 instead of 6?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with 6:30.
Okay. Yeah, just
Give you a little bit
sometimes-
more time?
Yeah, to get here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, you guys okay with
Yeah.
6:30?
I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm fine with it. I'm here anyway, so.
Mm.
All right, we'll do 6:30 then. What, my goodness. I'm losing,
You go for the calendar?
I'm looking for my phone. Actually, I think I know what's at. Okay. So. I would say we'd like to have another meeting in February. Do you want to do the 9th of February?
Can we do the 16th?
I'm free on the 16th as well.
Yeah,
16th is
the
good.
16th is better for me.
Okay, you good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do 16. Feb. Okay. All right. Last agenda item. Motion to adjourn.
So
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0.